This is the podcast that I have Chris. He working in dressing like this. Can you show them your pants?
I basically wore every colour.
Yeah. As soon as I saw him, I was like, "Are you straight?" He's like, "No." I was like, I knew by the colors. I knew you are not straight. Were you ever straight in your life, or?
Yeah, so I didn't actually deliberately come dressed as a rainbow.
But you like these beautiful bright colors.
I do like bright colours, but I just literally picked up the nearest things that were closest to me. So it was not deliberate. It wasn't deliberate.
So normally you are not so colourful?
No, well, it just depends on the mood that I'm in on that particular day. But I've got a lot of bright colours. Especially if I'm especially on the stage doing comedy and stuff, I want to, be a bit striking.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So, before when I realized you are not straight, what I said is, oh, I like gays. Because this brings what I want to tell you, because before you came, I was just talking with Mihai, something similar.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't really get along with someone if they are neither like broken, traumatized, or marginalized on some level. And I really, really have issue with straight guys, from like good family, good like a wealthy family, educated, like happy family. I feel like sooner or later the issue will come out, because it's not about if they are gay or not gay per se, but it's about like, because if you are marginalized, if you are like discriminated or oppressed on any level, you understand like lots of things are objective, and you when things happen, you have the capacity to ask what's the truth from other side. But for people who's from society like a more misogynistic society, especially, but in general, as a straight man from like a wealthy family with good education, happy family, I feel the issue is not about if they are gay or not, but the issue is because they are the norms, and they are the shapes the society wants to everyone else to fit in. So they never understood. It's way harder for them to understand like how it feels like to not be a normal person, and how that, oh, maybe I'm wrong, maybe they have their own perspective. I think that's the point.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that if people have come from any level of oppression, then I will always have an affinity with them on some level, because obviously coming from a background where my sexuality wasn't accepted. But saying that, some of the most disturbed people that I've ever met are straight white men. So although I have an affinity with, and I'm drawn to people who have got some level of trauma, the people that I've actually come across in my life who I consider the most disturbing are the straight white men.
Yeah, like I feel they are the norm. Like, for example, I think it's on some level it's not entirely their fault, but then on the other hand,
poor things.
Yeah. But sometimes I just feel so angry because, for example, I had a friend in the past, and they are like a really, really tall, 190 something. I don't know if you understand how tall is that. It's really tall, and then they are from a family where their father is a university pronounced like a university professor, and he himself is also like in the academic, in the same field as their father, and he said that he had no privilege, and he thinks what is so unfair now, like he can't speak the truth, and he thinks like woman is not discriminated. If he grow as a woman, he have exactly same experience, and he believes that the Affirmation Act is wrong, because there's no evidence that black people are equally smart.
Wow. Okay. But do you know though?
But the thing is, they are normal people, and they are not a bad person. But it's just like at the beginning, in the past when I was younger, I would get frustrated. I would try to change the person, and I think with the age, I realized something. You just need to go your separate ways.
But I do agree. So one of my friends, a good friend of mine, has got a 23-year-old son, and he has come out as an incel.
What's incel?
So involuntary celibate. So he basically lives in a shed at the end of the garden. He hates women. He's straight, but he loathes women. He admires Andrew Tate.
Oh.
He loves Andrew Tate. He's a hero to him, and he watches. He thinks that women should be in the kitchen. That women should be virgins when they get married.
That's why he's not getting laid.
It's why he's not getting laid, exactly. But I've tried to have a conversation with him, and I've tried to sort of reason. And he comes from there's a real anger. And I think it's we can't ignore the fact there are a lot of young men who have come from, we would describe as privileged lives, who are so angry. And I think with young women, there's a group mentality. Young women look after each other, and there's feminism, and you go girl, you can do what you want, you can be any size you want, you don't have to be skinny, you can, there's body positivity. Yeah. There's a movement where it's not about all wearing makeup, it's about being with your girl gang. And for men, and for young men, it's not quite the same. It's about, you've got to have the perfect body to attract the right. I'm not saying this is true, but this is the angle that they're coming at it is, you've got to have the perfect body, you've got to have the right looks. Women aren't interested in you if you've got all of them things. So I don't think young men have got the same experience as a lot of young women these days, and there's so much anger there, and I don't know what the answer is, but it's quite evident there's a lot of disenfranchised young men.
I think the answer is everyone should be a little bit gay. If everyone start to suck a dick too, and they would be way better men.
100%. 100%. Everyone just needs to suck a dick.
Yeah, my partner sucked a dick. That's why I pick him. And so I want to. The reason why, as soon as we came in, I had this thought is because something happened yesterday. Mm-hmm. And is it okay I share with you?
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
So what happened is, I have a friend. We know each other for 5 years. We become friends in the last 2 years. Who is also a comedian, and over the years, they are not white,
okay,
but they come from a man-dominated society.
Yeah.
Coming to this country, and the thing is, over the years, they always like to give me advice on things, unsolicited advice, and which is not okay on the first place, but which pisses me even more is that they often like to comment or give advice on things they have no idea about at all, while I'm a subject expert. So
they're coming to you for advice. They want you to give them advice.
No, they give me advice.
Oh, gosh,
on things they have no idea at all.
Right. Oh, okay, got it. Okay.
And instead of doing their own project,
right, okay.
They would they are doing comedy as a side.
Yeah.
But I do this on professional level full time for 3 years now.
Yeah.
So instead of doing their own project, they would come to me, teach me how to do my project.
Ooh, ouch.
And tell me what my project should be like. I was like, shut up, can you just do your own project?
Yeah.
Can you spend the time on your own fucking project? Don't and this just, it's not very intense. It's not they do this. But over the years, all those things gather and their things build up, right? And then this kind of get triggered really strongly yesterday, which there was like a warm up a while ago, like 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago. They came to me, they told me that I shouldn't fake laugh at a show. I'm like, I didn't fake laugh.
How do they, okay, fine, right.
Yeah, because I have very contagious laugh.
Right, yeah.
And I'm the kind of person, every time I go to a comedy show, every comedian notice me and I can make...
I love people like you at shows. I love that.
Yeah, sometimes if it's the right audience, like if there are 2 other persons who are also good laugher, who can just laugh the whole show.
Brilliant.
And then this person said I shouldn't fake laugh. I said I didn't fake laugh. They said, but it sounds fake. And it really got me so upset, you know, because it kind of got into my mind. I don't know, I feel so insecure. And then you know Paul Curry?
Paul Curry.
Yeah, he's a really weird comedian. And so this happened, but then like anyway, doesn't matter Paul Curry or not. I went to other shows, comedians again and again tell me, oh, you're so great, you're so awesome, your laugh is great, and they really thank me, this type of thing. And I told this person, no, stop calling my laugh is fake. And
I'm sorry, a comedian telling someone not to laugh is the funniest thing I think I've heard.
No,
Excuse me, can you just not laugh, please?
The thing is, I feel they are like a woman who never got an orgasm. Like, because they never got it, they believe nobody gets it. And that's my recording. Yeah, I feel like because they don't have this kind of laugh. And they just think everyone else is faking it.
Right.
But the thing is like it's just it's something out of my control, and when you tell me it's fake, I just feel so insecure and feel so self-aware. And love is an involuntary thing. Nobody can change their love.
No.
And then what happened, and this went over, I processed it, but then what happened yesterday is we went to see another comedy show which is musical, a little bit, and interactive. And the comedian really liked my laugh, and he invited me on stage.
Okay.
And then on the stage, he was trying to take photo with me, which is part of the act.
Yeah.
So what I did is I whip out my own camera, we just film each other. And then I asked, like we kind of had this improv part.
Okay.
And I started film an audience, and the comedian saw it, and then he went to film the audience, I filmed him, film the audience.
Okay, so it's all quite meta, basically.
Yeah. And I was just trying to make a reel for him for promotion. Okay. Because last time I went to see another comedian, I made a reel for him, and he added on his timeline. Now it's his best performing reel. It's an advertisement, and I want to have out. And so I made a few short, 10 seconds video or something. And then I pull out another camera. I want to make a slightly longer one, maybe 30 seconds. And that person just, I forgot exactly what he said, but at the moment it just feel like as if he's my father, as if he has authority over me, and he's ashamed of me, and I done something mortally wrong. And then after the show, I told him, this is not okay.
Who said that? The comedian that was on stage?
No, the friend I have who said my laugh is wrong.
Oh, okay, the same person.
Yeah. Okay. And the way he talked with me is just so diminishing. And then after the show, I told them, I'm like, this is not okay. Okay. You can't talk with me like this. Yeah. I'm a grown-ass woman. I know what I'm doing. Yeah. And they said, oh, you are doing exactly, this is so rude. Film at a show, you are doing exactly what you don't want your own audience to do it. I was, dude, I never said nobody can film at my show. And as long as they don't film more than 5 minutes, like they film 1 minute or 2
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah, yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, if I add all your footage together, it's definitely longer than 5. I was like, you want to count? You want to count now? I know what I should because everything is like 10 seconds.
Right.
There's no point to shoot a longer one because it doesn't look good on a reel anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they were like, oh, like just the way they talk to me, they were like, oh, you're not going to change, you're not going to listen, and whatever. And they just rush away. And I was just standing there crying. Because I feel like so gaslighted. And I'm like, I knew what I did was right.
Okay.
I knew like all the performance like free advertisement. I'm happy now.
Yeah.
So I was just standing there. I didn't know what to do, and I went back to talk with the comedian, and he's like, "Oh, I love it. Oh, please post a reel for me."
Oh, okay.
And I did it today. He posted on his timeline and a free advertisement, and I would just have this rage inside of me yesterday, and I would just feel. I'm done with the normal people. People with a happy family, people with privilege, never be oppressed, never like. I'm done with those people because we're just not on the same wavelength. They don't mean bad, but because they are always norm in their society, so they always think what they think is right. They don't challenge themselves. Oh, maybe I'm not right.
Well, I think you've done the right thing because you called it out. You didn't just ignore it, and you obviously went back to the comedian. They were happy with it. You could even feed that back to them if you feel like you could feed it back and say, "Oh, by the way, I did go to the comedian. They were okay."
That comedian recorded a video with me. I sent to him immediately, and they just never replied. But I'm done with it. I will never. I feel like I'm a grown woman now. I'm 35, but if I'm 25. It will get into me.
Right, yeah.
Now I learned, like, you are not right. I learned to listen to myself. But
that's a good thing about being old. Yeah. I love being old.
Yeah, like, I feel like the society, they were like, oh, old. It's just a way to make people insecure. Because once you are getting more mature, especially a woman, you know how to defend yourself.
Yeah.
You know how to set the boundaries. You know not to be bullied, not to be gaslighted, and people in power don't like that.
No.
And I just feel like the experience of gaslighting, I'm like, you are telling something to me that I know I'm not wrong, and the way you behave, like, it's very psychological.
Yeah. Well done for calling it out.
Yeah.
Move on.
Sorry, I'm complaining. I'm using you as free therapy.
That's okay. I have that. I have that face or something about me. People will just tell me things.
Yeah, because you have such a friendly vibe.
See, I have this in comedy when I'm doing stand up. What I want to do is create a space where my persona is like gay best friend, and I want it to be a joyous experience in a joyous space where everyone feels happy and comfortable and has a good time, which often will translate to audiences interacting with me. Sometimes when I don't want them to, when you're like in the middle of a bit, but they think you're their best friends, they'll be like, and start talking to you, and I'm like, so I do have that thing where people tend to be drawn and will often talk to me, and sometimes it's not when I want them to.
So, but enough of me. What's your issues?
My issues.
What's your name? We forgot to introduce you.
So I'm Chris Ford. I was brought up as a very, very strict Jehovah's Witness. I was married in the religion at 18 years old.
To a woman?
To a woman. So I had a very, very strict religious upbringing. We had no access to anyone who wasn't a Jehovah's Witness friends. I've got to say, not all Jehovah's Witnesses are quite like my family. They were very, very extreme. So I had a very strict upbringing. I was married very young, and then I did realise that I realised my sexuality when I was quite young, but I also thought there's nothing I can do about that. So I was married. I came out when I was 24, and then I was what they call disfellowshipped out of the religion. So I was cut off from all of my family, friends, had nothing, was homeless.
Keep contact?
no contact. So I had a period of homelessness, and then I sort of started to build my life up from there. So I'm 42 now, and I have got a comfortable life now. I'm very happy. I'm working as a nurse in my main job, and my second job is obviously doing comedy. And I'm here at the Fringe with my first split bill show with another comedian.
Wow, question. I'm so sorry you married so young before you were
didn't know what I was doing.
Actual adult.
I think it was just because I just wanted to jump on a trend because everyone else was doing it.
But on the bright side, although you were married young, at least you didn't become a mother.
What?
Yeah, because that's how like a religion control, especially women. They marry them young, like babies, babies.
No children.
Yeah. At least you didn't become a mother.
No, this is true. This is true. No children.
Yeah. So, how do you pronounce Jehovah's
Witness.
Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
And would you? I don't know much about this religion. What is very different from the mainstream Christian?
Yes, so it's a Christian religion. Well, they call themselves Christians, and they are very much that they're a splinter of Christianity. They basically take the Bible as absolute, literal truth. That every single word in the Bible is 100% true. So often people will look at the Bible as a guide, or, you know, for instance, parables, and there's often stories in the Bible that are quite clearly stories to teach us lessons about morals, but the Jehovah's Witnesses believe it's absolute truth. So for instance, you know, Adam and Eve, 100% true. Jonah and the whale, the story of Jonah and the whale, some like a prophet who got eaten by a whale and he survived for 3 days in the belly of a whale. All of these things happened 100%. There's no nuance, there's no nuance to it at all.
And because you said you were cut off from all your past friends and the family.
Yeah, so that's part of also the religion is they're a doomsday. I actually do think there's quite a lot of their behaviour is very cult-like.
Yeah, that's my question.
Cult-like.
Would you say it's a cult?
I would say they're a cult. Now that would be argued with a lot of people who understand cults, but there's a lot of controlling mind behaviour. It's also isolation. Isolation, and it's doomsday. So we were always told, I was told, be ready, Armageddon, end of the world is coming, like it's coming tomorrow. So every day it's like tomorrow, end of the world, end of the world, end of the world.
Well, that's not helpful with anxiety at all.
Oh my God, it doesn't help with anxiety at all. Well, in some ways it kind of helps, because in the end you just get so used to the end of the world happening that you're just like, well, you know. So it's very much doomsday.
And you're like, YOLO, every day is my last day.
Exactly. So and then they also cut. So if you don't obey, if you're a baptized member, so I was baptized,
There are different numbers.
So you can have unbaptized or baptized. So unbaptized is someone who is interested in the faith but hasn't fully dedicated their lives to it. I was baptized. So baptized.
Is it by your will or?
So you can like get done.
Was it your choice?
Yeah, I was 13, so I didn't really know what I was doing. Again, I was just following what everyone else did. Because I'm such a follower. I was just like, oh, what do they do? I'll do that because that seems to make people happy. So then I sort of do like whatever I can see that works for other people. So I was baptised. Then if you are baptised and then you break the rules, so I came out as gay, you then get disfellowshipped, which means you're cut off. You're not. So I didn't speak to my mum for 9 years before she died. I'm cut off from all of my friends and all of my family.
Wow, that sounds really very culty.
Yeah.
And why is it like a legit religion if it's so culty?
I think, so I've not been a Jehovah's Witness now for 20 years, so I think there is some change in some of the rules now. The Jehovah's Witnesses are very clever at moving the rules to when it suits them. My family were very, 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 very hard line. So there are people that are witnesses that maybe are not quite so hard line. My family were intensely hard line. So like we would have to read the Bible every single morning. We had 2 hours of church on a Tuesday night. You'd get in from that about 10 o'clock at night. Bearing in mind you've obviously got to go to school as well. 2 hours on a Thursday night, knocking on people's doors 2 hours on a Saturday morning, church for 2 hours on a Sunday, plus 2 hours of not knocking on doors. You're exhausted. You're so tired.
Do you get a normal education?
I argue no. You do have to go to school because that's what the state dictates. You have to go to school, but you aren't really encouraged to have any form of further education. I wasn't allowed to do homework, so
That's a good thing.
well, it is good. But I was keen. I was a smart kid, so I was like going to school with no homework, and my teachers were like, "Why have you not done your homework?" And like, "Because I'm so tired. I have to read the Bible every night."
And why those people are so insist on knocking doors?
Because what their argument is that they are trying. The end of the world is coming. It's the end of the world. So my mum would say, if you knew that your neighbour's house was going to catch fire tomorrow and they were all going to die, would you knock on the door and tell them? Yes, you would. So we know that everyone is going to die, so we need to save them. So we need to knock on their doors and tell them that if they don't convert to be Jehovah's Witnesses, they're going to die. So I'd be like knocking on people's doors, like, hi, you're going to die.
And when this religion started?
About 1870.
But have they thought about all those people they knocked the doors in the 70s? Lots of people, they had a perfect life. Like they just scared those people. Like they were not going to die. They died in peace.
But there's also, I mean, the nuances of the religion is quite complex. So yeah, it's quite hard to describe. But they do believe that Armageddon is still coming.
How big is this religion?
I think they've got about 8 million members.
Oh.
It's big. It's really big.
And what made you decide to get out of it?
Well, I knew I couldn't be gay. So you're not allowed.
Did you accept it?
So one of the things I did do was I was all about the religion. I was married, but then I decided I wanted to study at university. It was a really big deal to study at university, because it's not really allowed strictly. So I had to speak to all these elders and stuff. I was like, I want to study, and they were like, in the end, they were like, okay, you can go to university, but you have to be very careful because Satan will get into your heart. So I started, and I was like, okay, calm down, girlfriend. I was also really, really, really gay. It was so obvious that I was gay. I was like, okay, I'll
But the thing is, were you allowed to watch secular TV?
So
then how did you get the gay thing? Like it was inside of you?
So we did have a TV. So it was very it was very strict what we were allowed to watch and what we couldn't watch. So I would wait. So I went Queer as Folk. I don't know if you know the show. It's a UK show originally, and it came out in about 1999, and it was a brilliant series about young gay men living in Manchester and like living their gay lives. So I saw that it was all really well advertised, and I knew it was on the TV and stuff. And I would like go to bed to my parents, like, please go to bed. Like I'd be like, off you. Is it time you went? Because I was like 19 at the time when it came out.
You were already married.
I was married, but we were living with my parents.
So you're still a child.
Yeah, so me and my wife were living with my parents. I knew this series was on the TV, so I'd like encourage everyone to go to bed. I'd be like, oh, we've got to be up early tomorrow. And then I'd like put the TV on, and I'd have the volume on, like the lowest volume, and I'd have my ear next to it, and I'd watch it from the side with my one eye on the stairs to see if anyone came down. And I'd watch this show, and I'd think, oh my God, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I was like, these are people that are being gay, and it's okay. It's fine. So it sort of had this spark in my brain. Then I fought to go to university, went to university. And then I started to, because I was always told the world is evil. Satan is out there in the hearts of all of these people. And I went to university and I was like, these people are really nice. And they were like, I sort of told them a little bit of my story, and they were like, oh, you poor thing, because it was quite clear I was gay. And they were like, you can always come and stay with me if you ever have any problems. And I was like, these people are nicer than the Jehovah's Witnesses, but these are the evil people. So I had this battle in my head being like, is Satan tricking me? And then I realised he wasn't. And the Jehovah's Witnesses. And so I sort of then, so that was my way where I started to think about trying to escape the religion and trying to understand how I can get out of the religion. Because I realised the people that they were telling me were evil were really good people. And the people that were telling me that Satan is in their heart. They were the baddies. And I just had to work out how to get out of it.
And how about your wife? Did you like her?
And she was, yeah, it's very sad. So she was my, I reflect and look back, I recognise that she was like my best friend. And I was a queer kid, and I just sort of, I had no idea about love and romantic love and the love you feel for a friend.
Yeah.
I confused the two things. So I thought I was in love with her, and now I reflect on it and realise that it was the love I felt for a friend. And it was very difficult for her. She was heartbroken, it was horrible, and sadly she died in her early 30s as well, so she didn't have a very long life.
Because of you?
Because of my fault. She had a lot of health problems, and then she sort of had a very sadly short life. But yeah, it was very hard for her, it was really hard for my family, and I obviously had a very difficult time because I was then homeless and I'd lost everything. Well, I say I was homeless.
But if you went to university, you always have a source.
I had a job, so I trained to be a nurse. Went to university to be a nurse, so I had my job as a nurse, and that was brilliant because it gave me a foundation. I met people in nursing who were good, kind, lovely people who looked out for me, who helped me get on my feet, who gave me accommodation when I needed it, and then I started to build my life up really from there.
How old were you when you really made the first step?
24.
24?
Yeah.
So you were 19 in the university?
19 at university, yeah. So
it took you 5 years.
Yeah.
So after you finished your studies. And what was the final straw?
Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. So basically, I just had resigned myself to a life of unhappiness. And I was like, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I knew I was gay, but I was like, I'm just gonna have to live my life like this in the closet. And then so we're talking about 2004. Obviously the online world was happening, but it was in the early days of the internet becoming like this as it is today. And basically I found an online forum for gay ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and it was this I can't remember the name of it, but it was just this online forum where gay ex-Jehovah's Witnesses could meet and chat. And I went on I didn't have a computer at home, but I went on the university library computer and started chatting to these people who were gay ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and I was like, oh my God, there's a community of people, a forum of people, and they're all spread out all over the world. And then I got chatting to this guy who lived in Costa Rica, and we basically had this sort of long distance romance, love affair, but it was over the internet. I sort of fell in love with him. And I was a bit like, oh, this is my way out. I'm in love with this, I'm going to go live in Costa Rica.
You can always go there to teach English.
Oh my God, I was like, I'm going to leave my wife, I'm going to leave my family, I'm going to go and live in Costa Rica. And then he said, okay, I'm going to come to London and we will meet and I will take you to Costa Rica.
Wow, that's so romantic! Oh my God!
I was such a fucking dickhead.
Oh, you should write it into like a rom-com. This is so romantic.
He arrived. So anyway, I was like, he's arriving at the airport. I've got to come out. I'm going to have to come out. So the day he was arriving in London at the airport, I woke up and I was living with my parents, my wife, parents there, my mum and stepdad. And I woke up.
Is it allowed to divorce?
Only for adultery.
Oh, so you are.
So adultery being you can only divorce if one of the partners has had penetrative sex with someone of the opposite gender.
Okay. So your father cheated?
I had a father and my stepfather and mum.
Yes.
But my mum found religion later on in life. So.
Oh, okay, okay.
So my mum became a Jehovah's Witness when I was about 2 or 3.
And what happened was she and your dad?
Oh my God, that's a whole other story. I'll go into that in a minute.
Okay.
I'll circle back to that.
Well, you have such interesting
So I was at the airport. He's coming to the airport. I've woken up on the day and I was like, I'm going to have to leave my wife today. I'm going to have to do it. So I woke up that morning and I said, I'm gay. I'm leaving you. And then she went absolutely nuts. She got all of my clothes out of the wardrobe, started cutting them with a pair of scissors, screaming. My mum comes into the room. My stepdad comes into the room. And my mum said, what's going on? And my ex-wife, she looked at me and she was like, tell them, Tell them, tell them. And I was like, and I just couldn't say it. And then my stepdad went, are you a homosexual? And I went, yes, I am. And then I got in my car, I drove to the airport, and I met this guy. And I didn't fancy him at all. I was like, oh my god, he actually makes me physically sick. I met him and I was like, oh
so you just rejected him on the airport?
No, we went back to a hotel and I was like, obviously we made out and we had like this fling, but I knew immediately, I was like, I'm in love with the idea. I knew then the penny sort of dropped in my head and I was like, I've created this love affair in my head. And I did sort of love him from a distance, but I didn't fancy him at all. And we like had this little fling and I was a bit like, I think I'd used him as a way to get out of my situation. Mm-hmm. And then he went back to Costa Rica and I was like, I'm sorry, like, I really thank you so much, but like, I'm not going to be coming to Costa Rica.
Was he upset?
No, he knew. He was fine. He was chill about it. And we've sort of stayed a little bit in contact over the years. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh shit, I'm going to have to start building my life.
Wow. Yeah. It sounds such a romantic story.
I know, it would be so perfect if I loved him. Like if he arrived and I was like, oh my god, he was like a dreamboat. But I arrived and he was like a bit older and he was quite overweight and I was a bit like, and I was like very... I was a bit like, no, I don't fancy you.
Wow. And over the years, like... do you think what impact has it on you, on your mental health over the years?
Yeah, it's been profound. I mean, I'm very, very resilient because I've been through so much stuff. I am very resilient, but I think it wasn't until it took me till I'd probably say 10 years after all of that, so in my mid-30s, that I really started to notice. I had lots of anxiety. I was drinking a huge amount, and I think I started to unravel. And I'd never dealt with any of it. I'd never dealt with it. I just carried on. It wasn't.
Here this day?
So in my I'm in my early 40s now. Like I just got on with life, and it wasn't until my life was perfect so I had a really good job. So I climbed my way to a really good job in nursing, so the head of nursing. I'm remarried to a man who was very much in love. I bought a house, I had 4 cats, and my life was absolutely perfect when I suddenly went fucking nuts. Yeah. It was like I waited until I got everything, and then I was like, whoa.
I have a theory. It's very similar to me also. Yeah. I think that's why they say depression is a white people disease.
Right.
Because when you, there are some uncomfortable in you.
Yeah.
But before your life is perfect, so-called perfect, you always have an answer. Oh, it's because I don't have a home, because I don't have a partner, if once I get that, it will be all right. Then you have a goal, you can focus on it. You are you have hope.
100%.
And but once you have everything, you realize you are still not happy, and then your whole belief system just collapses because you realize there's no more hope.
That's exactly what happened. I waited until everything was perfect, and I was like, oh, everything's perfect now. Fuck. I feel really sad. I'm super angry. I didn't even know I had anxiety. I just thought I was excited about everything. I was in therapy and she was like, oh, do you feel anxious about stuff? I was like, no, I've never had anxiety. And she's like, oh, it's just weird because you were talking about when you go out. And I was like, oh no, I get really excited when I go out. And she's like, talk me through it. I was like, well, my heart starts racing. I get really dry mouth. I get sweaty palms. I feel quite faint. And she was like, what if if you're going to a pub or something? I was like, yeah, but I'm just because I'm so excited about going to the pub. And she was like, I think that sounds like you're anxious about going to the pub. I was like, no, it's just because I'm so excited about seeing you. I don't know. And then I was like, oh, fuck. I just rebranded the two things. And I've since found out that that's something that a lot of CBT therapies do, is teach people who've got anxiety that it's actually excitement.
So you have the gift.
I've done it myself.
Wow. So Another question: growing up in your environment, were you told, were you teach how to, what is emotions and how to deal with your emotions?
Absolutely not. It was like, if you feel an emotion, it shouldn't be seen and it shouldn't be hurt. You just have to be smiling and happy. Like, so I'm very good at masking and like acting like there's absolutely nothing wrong. Like is it like a swan or a duck? You know, you're like underneath, you're like this, on the top you're looking serene. So we were just taught that you don't show any form of emotion.
And if you think back, think about your mom, thinking about your siblings, under the restriction of, like, under the cover of the religion, do you think you loved them?
Loved my family.
Yeah.
I was very close to my mum. I loved my mum very much, and I can understand her more. She's sadly passed away, but I understand the decisions that she made. I can have empathy for and sympathy for. My sister also, and my stepdad is someone that I will always struggle to have any sort of good feelings about, to be honest. But I definitely don't love him. But my mum and my sister very much. There's a lot of love there. Yeah. And
with your sister now, are you able to have contact?
So my sister's a very strict Jehovah's Witness. So we didn't speak for probably about 10 years. Since my mum died, she's softened a little bit, and we do have communication, but only about important family matters. So, like, you know, if there was like sort of family member pass away, or if it's to do with like finances to do with my father or something like that, then we will have contact. So it's thawed a little bit. But like her children, my niece and nephew, I have nothing to do with. So I'm not allowed.
And do you think she has this love for you?
My sister, very much. There's a lot of love. Like she says to me, if ever we have to have in like conversations, because we have my father in common, who's another thing altogether. But she's always signs off, you know, I love you very much, and you know, I have a lot of love for her.
But this religion just can block.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you know, I kind of my sister, her whole life is the religion. She's dedicated her entire life to it. So I kind of feel a bit like it makes her happy. It brings her joy. It's good, given her community. My sister had a lot more trauma than me because she witnessed a lot of my dad's violence, much more than I did, because I was too young. So she's got much more trauma than me. The religion has given her a lot in her life, and she's had a lot of health problems. So I feel like I don't want to take that away from her. Yeah, it makes her happy. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, and I am not sure if I'm being ignorant, but I feel as a gay guy coming out of that religion, you would get way more support than a woman.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Like you have more support, you have more community, and you have more sympathy.
Yeah.
So, wow, and like with you talk about anxiety, but I think in the communication you also mentioned about depression.
Yeah, again, so it happened a good few years ago, and I always thought I'm someone that would never. I don't recognise my own feelings until it's so profound. Like it's so, because I was like, no, I'm not a depressive person. A bit like with anxiety, I was a bit like, no, I don't get anxious, and then I actually did. With depression, I was like, no, I'm not depressed, I'm not depressed. And then it was like every single day off that I had, I was like, I was just on the sofa every day, horizontal, everything was like walking through treacle, like trying to do any task. And I was just I was drinking a huge amount, unhealthy amounts of alcohol, and like my partner was like, are you depressed? And I was like, absolutely not. And then I sort of did a bit of an online thing. I was like, oh, not sleeping very well, drinking too much, lethargic, thoughts of ending your own, all of that. And I was like, oh, perhaps I am. And I went and got medicated, went into some really hard therapy.
So it took your partner to tell you?
To say, I think there's something wrong here. And I was like, no, I think I'm fine. I'm just having a bit of one of them days. You know, it's like, you've had quite a lot of them days, haven't you? And I was like, Oh yeah.
And when was it?
About 4 years ago.
And what happened since then?
So I went into therapy, as in like once a week, psychotherapy. You know, it took me a little while to find the right therapist. I went to several therapists and I realised something that I needed in a therapist that I didn't know. I needed a therapist that I didn't like. Because I'm such a people pleaser and I'm so eager for someone to feel good. So if I had a therapist that I really loved and really liked, I would go and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm really good today, thank you. And I want them to feel like they're doing a really good job. I went to various different therapists.
You look like a golden retriever.
I was like, yeah, exactly. I was going to therapist. I was like, how was your week? Oh, it's great. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, really, you've really done. Thank you. You really made me feel better. And so, like, the therapist would be like, oh my god, I'm doing an amazing job. And then I'd be going home just being like, blah, blah, blah. And so in the end, I found a therapist who, obviously, I liked her, but I didn't feel the need to impress her or make her feel like she's doing a good job. I just gave her the truth. And if that meant that her therapy wasn't working, that meant my therapy wasn't working, and that worked so much better for me. So I went to hard therapy, went on some sertraline. I went on sertraline. I came off of sertraline about 6 months ago. It helped me through that period. Tried to regulate my sleeping as well, because I was a shift worker as a nurse, so I was doing nights and days. Yeah. But getting a job where it was just days, all of them things just sorted me right out. So much better position now.
Yeah. And sleeping, I really have lots of respect for the shift workers. They make the society in function, but it's really a lot of health risks.
Massive, yeah. Well, now I've come to the Edinburgh Fringe, I feel like I'm doing shift work again, because I'm like doing my show at like 10 at night and then doing shows after that. I'm like, am I back doing nursing again?
No, but with this, you have the same exactly schedule every day for months. That's way easier.
Yeah.
Wow. And what do you learned over the time? What tools you learned? Can you list like 3 interesting tools you learned?
So resilience. I know that I'm very, very resilient, as in, because I've been through so many different sort of things. I feel like I am very resilient. I don't know if that's a tool per se, but I don't feel like any form of. But when the pandemic, hit, and I was working in A&E at the time, I was like, just crack on with it. It's fine. We've got this, guys. So like, I'm pretty resilient. I think also now I've learned to recognise my own emotion, like really, because I don't really question what I'm thinking or feeling a lot of the time. So I've had to sort of learn to stop and be like, what do you feel? What do you want? What do you want in this situation? Because often what I want is not what I'm doing. So for instance, I could be in like the pub or a social engagement, and I think I'm excited, and I'm like, oh no, I think this is anxiety. And then I've learned to like stop and be like, what do you want? And if that means you need to go home, that's fine. If that means you need to not drink tonight, that's okay. So just sort of reading my own emotions a little bit, I think is probably pretty good. I don't know about
you. Have another tool to share?
I think what was also important to me is like the surrounding yourself with the right people, because I think I've had a group of friends who I thought were the cool people, but the cool people aren't always the right people to be hanging around with. So I think just recognising who is the right people for you. And if that means that they're the geeky bunch, then that's fine. That's okay.
What do you mean, right people?
So, for instance, I would always, and I recognise this as something shallow in me, I would gravitate towards people who I felt were like the cool gang, like the mean girls. I'd be like, oh, I want to hang around with them. And a lot of that is to do with self-preservation. So if I hang around with these people, then they will protect me from the bullies,
Oh, yeah.
So I would sometimes assimilate myself with people who maybe were quite toxic, or people that had drink or drug problems, because they are often glorified in our society. And I sort of then, when I went into the whole sort of therapy and working on myself, I realised that these are people that aren't necessarily good for me, or the right people I should be hanging around with. And actually the people that are good for you are sometimes the ones that you least expect. You know, it might be that their mums are free or.
And how did you make this transition? Like, what did you do with the old so-called friends?
Yeah, I didn't ever like say to people, "Oh, I'm breaking up with you," type of thing. It would just be I would decline invitations to things if I felt that it didn't really serve me. I actually got into comedy at this point as well, so I then started to meet people in the comedy circuit and form some bonds within comedy. And I did note there was a lot of people in comedy who are sober. I don't know why. I think there's a lot of people that gravitate towards comedy because as a route out of sobriety, you know. So I started to meet some interesting people from different backgrounds that I would probably have not hung around with before, which I found really helpful as well.
And did the realization of depression happen first, or did comedy happen first?
Depression. I've been doing comedy like properly for just about 18 months, not very long.
Okay.
It's been a quick sort of, because I'm a little bit older, so I started doing comedy when I was like, you know, I'm 43 now, so essentially I'm 41.
But you have so many life stories.
Yeah,
aware of minds.
There's a lot of stuff to know at mine, and I talk about that in obviously my show and stuff. So I felt it's been quite quick progression in comedy, but I think because I'm a bit older and I've got a lot of life skills in my armour, that's helped me a lot. You know, particularly around public speaking and stuff, because I'm senior in my job, so I do a lot of public speaking and that, which helped.
Cool. And if there are some, maybe by search, some Jehovah's Witness gay guy will find this video.
Yes.
And what do you want to tell them?
Oh, it breaks my heart that there's anyone that's like stuck in that religion who is feeling that.
But not that religion per se.
Or even any religion. So
any place where you are not allowed to.
There are people. So it gets better. There are lots of organisations. Faithless is a really good organisation who help people who have come from so it could be Orthodox Jew, Muslim, Jehovah's Witness, Mormon. They help anyone that's come from a faith to faithless background, people that are leaving their religion. They're really good. So find an organisation that particularly helps you. There's a lot of organisations, particularly on Facebook groups, a Gay European, ex-Jehovah's Witness group. Engage. That's what helped me, was engaging with people who were outside of the religion and made me go, you can live your life outside of this. The world isn't going to end. You've been told the world will end. It's not true. You're being lied to.
Cool. Yeah. If you are watching this, come out of your couch and play. Suck some dicks. Life will be better.
I did have my slutty era.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much for being
Brilliant.
here.
Thank you.